From celebrity footballers to heads of state, the bulletproof car is today's ultimate status symbol. On the street, it's the first line of defense in an attack.
The best type of bulletproof vehicle would be one that is not noticeable to the passerby on the street.
Over the last 70 years, it's been modified and perfected with lessons learned, often the hard way.
Had the roof been armoured, I believe we would have all survived the assassination.
A masterpiece of engineering that can withstand armour-piercing bullets and direct bomb blasts, buying its passengers the time to get out of the kill zone.
Get out of the area. Avoid blockades. Avoid follow cars. Get out of the area as fast as you can.
But with every security advance come new threats. Designers are still grappling with the challenge to build the ultimate bulletproof car. This is a state-of-the-art bulletproof car. Its armour can resist handguns, assault rifles, and even armour-piercing rounds. The engine can be started remotely to protect from car bombs. It's the security vehicle of choice for passengers under threat.
Some of my clients I just prefer not to name. Most of them I prefer not to name. But I've had some pretty exciting clients, like Saddam Hussein, for example, from Iraq.
In this closed world, it's a game of cat and mouse between attacker and armourer, each second-guessing the other. With new security accessories that can now save lives, engineers are still striving to improve the armour and glass of the bulletproof car. Bulletproof cars have been saving lives for years, ever since politicians and criminals realised they needed protection. Al Capone's car of 1933 was state-of-the-art.
The glass on the windshield is 1 1/4 inch thick. On the doors, it is 1 inch thick.
But as weapons became more powerful, the bulletproof car had to change. And the first step is to create bulletproof armour to resist both ballistic and blast attack. There are 3 levels of armour protection, and they vary depending on the threat.
There's 3 categories of threats that are present around the world. The first category is handgun level protection. So here we focus in on the .44 Magnum, which is one of the most powerful handgun ammunition in the world. We have assault rifle protection. And then we have the armor-piercing levels of protection, which are fired out of the exact same weapons as the assault rifle ball ammunition, except here that the projectiles are now made out of hardened steel.
One of the largest armouring companies in the world is O'Gara, Hess and Eisenhardt. They've been armouring cars for the past 50 years. In 1976, Kevin Claday started working here.
When I started, the cars were very heavy. Steel was heavy. We had installed the armor using hammers and anvils.
This heavy armour offered protection against the 3 levels of attack and still looked discreet on the car. But in the 1970s, cars began to change. They got smaller and lighter. Traditional armouring was no longer possible.
As time went on, the way the cars are built, they weren't able to hold as much weight, so we were facing a very big dilemma on how we could achieve armor-piercing protection in newer cars.
Engineers needed to find a lightweight alternative to steel. In the 1970s, they found the material they were looking for. It was called Kevlar and made from tightly woven man-made fibres. Richard Davis, a maverick inventor, pioneered Kevlar as a body armour and had a novel way of testing it too. Car companies took notice.
These are the Kevlar panels that we use when we're trying to get a high level of protection, especially from armor-piercing rounds. This came in very helpful in the mid-'80s when armor-piercing was beginning to be a real problem, and we had to go to lighter steels to keep the weight down in the vehicles.
With the introduction of Kevlar, armourers were able to achieve the same ballistic protection but with much less weight.
What we were able to do with this is place this material behind the steel so that the steel would break up the bullet and the Kevlar would catch the bullet.
New materials solved the problem of weight, but designers were faced with a new challenge: how to connect all these materials together safely without leaving vulnerable areas. These vulnerable spots are called ballistic gaps.
You can shoot a sample and you can pass all day, but then you can take that same material and put it in a car, and if it's not integrated in the car correctly, then you can have failures and you can have ballistic gaps.
Ballistic gaps don't only let in bullets, they're also a weakness in bomb attacks. A ballistic gap would prove fatal in a bomb blast in Dublin in 1976, where Brian O'Driscoll was working as a driver for the British ambassador. On the morning of July the 21st, Brian was driving Sir Christopher Ewart Biggs from his Dublin residence. But the IRA had planted a bomb and was lying in wait.
It was a lovely sunny morning. At about 10:15 in the morning, we just left the residence, and 100 yards down the road, in this culvert, the IRA had planted 600 pounds of jelly knives.
The impact of this blast was horrific.
It blew a huge crater in the road. The car somersaulted in the air and came down on the roof on the passenger side.
While Brian was driving an armoured car, it had one failing.
It was a bulletproof car, very heavily armoured, but unfortunately the Achilles heel was that the roof wasn't armour plated. And when the explosion happened, the car somersaulted, they say up about 40 foot into the air, and landed on the passenger side on the roof, which collapsed.
Incredibly, Brian survived, but the terrorists were successful in killing 2 people, including their target, Sir Christopher Ewart Biggs.
The roof collapsing didn't give them any chance on the passenger side. Had the roof been armoured, I believe we would have all survived the assassination.
This was a very obvious ballistic gap, and from this point on, car roofs were armoured too. When Brian was ambushed, bomb attacks were not the norm, but times have changed.
There's a statistic that 60% of the attacks in the world are now bombings instead of direct fire. We decided to evaluate our current armor systems as they were against these types of threats, and we found out that they didn't perform very well at all.
Engineers went back to the drawing board to find out exactly what a blast does. With sophisticated welding, they created what they hoped would be a blast-proof vehicle by building a cage inside the body of the car.
A blast vehicle essentially is a welded cage that goes all the way around the inside of a vehicle to be able to take the blast wave and route it up and over and underneath the vehicle.
This sophisticated welding would be put to the test not long after in Kosovo. In 1998, John Sheehan was working as a diplomat and would rely on his car for his life.
I had the sensation that I was being hit by something that was causing me to accelerate upwards. It felt like I was taking off in a jet aircraft. I was fearful. I was afraid that I or one of us was injured or dead.
John had driven straight into an ambush.
We were driving down a hill. I heard a sound. It sounded like a loud clap. I thought we'd been hit by a rocket. I turned out I was wrong. We'd driven over an anti-tank mine.
Fortunately for John, he was driving an armoured car with the latest high-tech welding.
There is no doubt that if I had not been in an armored vehicle, if I'd had a similar type of mine strike, I would have died.
To see one of your vehicles like Major Sheehan's having gone over a mine and see the destruction of the vehicle and hear that the person the people inside have actually walked away is very satisfying.
Defeating blast waves is a constant challenge. One development is being pioneered by British scientists who have a new idea that may be lighter and just as effective as a welded cage. Eric Chadwick is an inventor driven to defeat the force of the deadly blast wave.
So we're now putting the charge under the wheel.
Yeah, you've got 2 kilos.
This is what happens when an unarmoured vehicle is blasted with 2 kilos of TNT, equivalent to a moderate-sized landmine.
3, 2, 1, fire!
The blast wave has ripped the car to shreds, shattering the glass and resulting in certain death for any driver. But Eric thinks he's found the material to defeat blast waves. He's created a stone sponge that absorbs air pressure, and he's called it Tabor.
It's essentially made out of flint particles held together with a special resin. These flint particles are a peculiar shape, so it's got holes through it. So what we've effectively done is stuck a lot of little holes together, all the right shape and the right size, to take out the air pressure.
With the same amount of explosives, the Tabor reinforced vehicle is put to the test. But will it work?
3, 2, 1, fire!
British scientists think they've found the material to defeat a blast wave in a bomb attack. Here, they're about to test it with 2 kilos of TNT.
3, 2, 1, fire!
At first glance, the Tabor reinforced vehicle has performed only marginally better. But on closer inspection, the glass is still intact, and a marginal improvement could be crucial.
Yeah, it's
So
taken out
the
window
door is
here.
shut to start with.
Yeah,
This seat is intact.
yeah.
There is no...
Oh, look. Far better there.
Yeah, it hasn't blasted into the compartment, it's just bent it a bit.
Yeah. No, I think it's far more survivable than the last one.
Tabor is still new to the armouring scene, but it's now starting to be used on vehicles around the world. And as attackers become more sophisticated, bulletproof armour can now resist armour-piercing and even bomb attacks. Though technological leaps in armour have changed the bulletproof car in the last decade, it's in the area of glass that designers are now turning their attention to. Mexico. There are estimated to be thousands of kidnappings here every year. In the last 10 years, sales of bulletproof cars here have gone through the roof. But then, so have the number of weapons. In 1997, Mexican policeman Juan Russo would rely on his bulletproof car in a shootout. He'd survive, but he would lose many colleagues.
I'll show you where the first bullet landed. It was here, aimed directly at my head. Their bullets started landing here, all over the windscreen.
In an attempt to capture a Mexican drug trafficker, Russo and his team were ambushed.
We had presidential authorization to use the army. I went in my bulletproof car with 6 other patrol cars, Cherokee helicopters, motorbikes. We went to the agreed location, then the shooting started. When I got to the scene, they attacked us.
Little did the gangsters know, Russo's car was completely bulletproof.
Not for 1 second did they think I had a bulletproof car. They thought I had a normal car. When they saw that they couldn't defeat my tyres, windscreen or anything else, they focused on the people behind me. And thank God, I was able to drive away.
Despite huge casualties on both sides, Russo and the team succeeded in capturing the gangsters. Had it not been for his bulletproof glass, there's no way he would have survived. Bulletproof windows are made with normal glass, and the bullet is defeated by sheer mass. To make the glass tougher, you simply add more. Stopping the bullet was not the issue. In fact, this test shows that a .44 Magnum can be defeated by glass, only a few inches thick. The glass has stopped the bullet, But as this footage shows, shards of glass fly out the back of the bulletproof glass and into the car's interior. This is called spalling, and it tears the skin to shreds. In the 1970s, designers finally solved this by layering normal glass with sheets of plastic, each layer dissipating the bullet's energy. The magic was in the last layer, polycarbonate. This gives the windscreen an inner coating to catch shards or spalling that may fly inside the vehicle. To show how important this layer is, we will fire the same weapon at the same thickness of glass, but this time with the polycarbonate layer. The result? No penetration and no spalling. In this attack, the passengers would have escaped uninjured. No sooner had designers improved the glass, attackers moved in for the kill. It was the old enemy, the ballistic gap.
The first thing that the attacker shoots at is the glass. And what happens is they'll hit the center of the glass, and when they find that the bullets aren't going through, then they'll start hitting around the edges. And that's a weak point in an armored car. So what we do to protect against that is we put overlap armor, such as is in this window opening, and that'll overlap the glass and keep the edges of the glass from separating and having the projectile go inside the car.
While glass has traditionally been the Achilles heel of the bulletproof car, it has changed dramatically over the past 30 years, and plastics have transformed it for both drivers and attackers. With the best armour in the world and the most sophisticated glass, cars need to move quickly to get out of the kill zone. From run-flat tyres to smoke dispensers, the way they do this is with security accessories. Extras on an armoured car is not a new idea. Al Capone had a siren.
The siren in this car would enable Capone to get away at any time, as it is one of the laws in the United States that no one but an official, a police or fireman, may have one of these on his car.
And today, security accessories complement the armour of a bulletproof car.
These are the kind of accessories that you might find in a high-end armored vehicle. What we have here is a specially processed fuel tank that's foam-filled and has a special membrane on the outside of it. What this allows to happen is a bullet can penetrate the tank, and the foam will prevent the tank from exploding. The membrane on the outside of it will close over the hole that the bullet made and stop the gas from leaking outside the vehicle. This is a run-flat device that's installed on the drop center of a wheel, and a regular tire is inserted over the top of this. What the key is when the tire shot out and the air is deflated, the tire is able to ride against the run flat and allow you to drive at 30 miles an hour for about 30 miles.
But extras don't end here. Ron Kimball has been building bulletproof cars since the 1970s. He sold cars all over Latin America and even to Saddam Hussein. But where Ron specialises is in security accessories.
I think the accessories have the magic that they really are designed to be a deterrent. They will not save one's life, but they will give you those extra 3 or 4 seconds that may save your life.
The way Ron started to devise bulletproof extras came from Hollywood. In the middle of a sales pitch, Ron's client asked him what sort of extras he could offer.
And then I thought James Bond, and I thought, you know, I can be as creative as the James Bond movies. So I started creating certain options in my mind, and 2 that came to mind initially were the electric shocking system. I wanted the vehicle to be, if you touched it, you would be shocked and not be able to get near the vehicle. And then I also wanted the smoke screen that comes out of the back of the vehicle.
But if Ron had the brainwave, it was his men back in the factory who would have to turn his fiction into reality.
When I came back from Europe with the idea, all I saw was shaking heads saying, no, it can't be done. And I kept saying, it has to be done.
It took months of attempts to come up with the right solution to make a smoke dispenser. The men tried different materials until they finally got it right. The answer was something found on any garage forecourt: antifreeze.
This is the container for the antifreeze, which creates the smoke. The pump inside, this is the pump, takes the antifreeze from the container, puts it down into the exhaust manifold or the exhaust pipe through a copper tube. That creates the smoke around through the back. Smoke comes out of the exhaust in this manner. Go ahead. And this is one of the most exciting things about this business, is that you can have options like this, save people's lives from the James Bond type technology.
In the event of a car chase, a smoke dispenser can come in very handy. But Ron's security accessories don't stop here. Ron had a plan to electrify the whole car.
Forgive me the pun, but it can be a shocking experience to be electrified through your fingertips.
After months of work, Ron's men figured out they couldn't electrify the whole car, but they could place an electric current in a wire behind each door handle. And it worked.
So we took the 12-volt battery system and created a converter. The converter converts 12 volts of electricity into 110 volts of electricity, and we've run that through wiring harnesses through the vehicle only to the doors, so that if anyone comes to the door, they would be shocked with 110 volts of electricity in each of the doors. And you can see that demonstrated by me with this tester. This sound and light, flashing light, indicates that there's 110 volts of electricity in each door handle.
With nuclear and chemical filters, security accessories are getting more sophisticated. 5 seconds after pressing a button in this vehicle, each of the 4 doors explodes, allowing a quick getaway. Security accessories are still changing the bulletproof car, making it harder for attackers to defeat. In the last 30 years, the bulletproof car has changed drastically, and designers are still striving to make these vehicles more like normal cars, so they blend in. But in the face of an attack, can a car ever really be bulletproof?
Nothing is bulletproof. If you can put enough shots and have enough time, you can get through it.
Based on the studies, the normal terrorist attack takes place in 7 to 15 seconds, meaning that you only have a few seconds to react. And in 15 seconds it's over with. You are either going to be gone or dead.
A bulletproof car isn't invincible, but what it gives you is something that may save your life: time.